everybody. Happy Friday. Hey, Lisa Kalovi. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Gwen. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Alicia, Farm Fresh. Good to see you. Hey, Rudy Fern. Good to see you. Um, you know, we changed the clocks last week, and usually I don't have a problem with it this time of the year, but it is kicking my butt this time around. Usually it's the fall back that kicks my butt. But first and foremost, I know there's a lot of folks who are in the path of some really serious, scary weather. So, sending thoughts and prayers to everybody. I know that I just saw a little while ago that Oklahoma is having awful wildfires. Um, so, it's just crazy, crazy. So, praying for everybody to be safe. Hey, Ariella. Hey, Heather, Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Hope you guys are doing well. Usually I do good with the springing forward, the fallback, not at all. But I got to tell you, I'm so over changing changing these clocks. I'm so over it at this point. I really like when we, you know, spring forward. Hey, Holman's Homestead, good to see you. Hey, Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. I absolutely love the longer daylight, but like, can we just pick one and stick with it? Hey, on the plant, good to see you, Tom. I'm just curious, what do you guys think? I know Gwen says she likes it when the longer daylight, and I totally get that. I do too. But hey, Lone Cross Scotty, good to see you. I'm just curious, what do you guys think? Like, do you think, we should keep it? Do you think we should pick one and stick with it? I'm at the point where I'm ready to pick one and stick with it because it's really getting annoying. Hey, Tootie. Good to see you. So leave it alone, meaning don't change it, or leave it as is where you get to spring forward and fall back. We would be on this time permanently if the time didn't change anymore. Exactly. Hey, Nancy, our treasured home. Good to see you. Rebecca said, I feel the same way. Just pick one and stay with it. Yeah, I just pick one and stick with it. And I'm okay with standard time. But I do like the longer daylight, but could we just pick one? But Lone Cross said the same thing, just leave it alone. Okay, gotcha, Holman's. Makes sense. Mon and Blue, hope you're doing well. It's just so annoying to have to change all these stupid things. Like, thankfully, the phones all change, but the 50 other clocks in your house and everything. Yes, Christine, Mrs. Gillum, we definitely are. I just saw a little while ago, and definitely sending prayers, my friend. It just, I'm gonna, after this, I'm gonna watch more because I don't have TV per se, so I need to go look up and stuff. But absolutely, oh, it's just scary, devastating. But yes, absolutely. Um, and yes, I mean, obviously, you know, clearly it's not cut and dry, right? Because that's why there's always a debate. No, the other, it's dark at 5 p.m. and even in the summer. Oh, I gotta go back. Even in the summer, it would be dark at 7 if it was the other time. It takes time to get used to it each time, or it does us feel rotten for a couple weeks. Yeah, normally I am fine, but man, I have not been sleeping at all. Like 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm still up. It's absolutely insane. Thank you, uh, Scotty. I appreciate it. Yeah, I bet it was Christine. Christine, is any of them, are any of them near you? I know, Tom, you guys don't change the clock. That's really, I mean, and what do you think of it? I'm curious because you're living proof. What do you think of it? I remember Mountain Grandma, she had to get used to it when she was moved to Missouri. I don't know. I'm just having a week. But yeah, and I looked up a bunch of stuff on it. Excuse me. I looked up a bunch of stuff on it. It's a lot because I work in Las Vegas, which does change the clocks. Oh man, that must be insane. Heather likes fall back. What do you like about it, Heather, that it causes you to slow down and all that kind of thing? Blue says it's weird in Australia as well. It's up to the state if they change the clock. So Queensland doesn't have daylight savings, but the rest of the East Coast does. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And you have it over in the UK, Blue. Hey, Spartman. Hope you're doing well, staying safe with all the wind and everything. I don't know if you're getting snow or what. And what's funny, it gets dark here in summer time about 8 or 8:30. In West Texas, it doesn't get dark until 10. That's what it's like about here for us. We get dark sometime between 9 and 10. It's pretty wild. Oh, good. I'm glad, Spartman. I'm good. Northeast Oklahoma, but the nearest fire is about 2 hours from us. Fires move so far. They do. Totally familiar with that. And I just praying, Christine. It's just crazy, all the stuff that's going on this week. Very scary, and they just eat up acreage so quickly. So like one of the things that I was looking at, I just wanted to. Spartman says they have us in a blizzard warning starting at 4 a.m. It was 64 degrees this afternoon. That is crazy. Thanks, Lisa Colovi. Heather, I think you're right, sadly. I mean, I know for us, I mean, it's just dry. I don't know if you're getting your typical rainy season over there in Oregon. So I just wanted to tell you what some of the things that I came up with, because I wanted to take a break from talking about seeds and stuff. So here's what they have online about the pros and cons of time changes, particularly daylight savings time. They said the pros are increased safety because there's extended daylight hours, which can lead to safer roads, communities, potentially reducing pedestrian fatalities and robberies. Economic benefits because they see increased activity and revenue due to extra daylight hours, potentially boosting the economy, promotes active lifestyles for people. I think that's a given. And then energy consumption is obviously diminished because of longer daylight. Hey, Hugo Homestead. And then on the con side of it, they said health disruption, sudden shift in time disrupts sleep. Circadian rhythms potentially worsens mental health conditions like seasonal affective disorder, et cetera. Productivity decline because people struggle to adjust to the new schedule and there's decreased productivity. Increased accidents, slight increase in traffic accidents and workplace injuries in the days following the springtime shift. And they said economic costs associated with the time change, including safety campaigns, adjusting computer systems, and the collective tiredness, and then disruption to daily routines. I think that's the biggest thing, disruption to daily routine. And it's like a ripple effect from there. There's a saying the natives like to use out here. Only a white man would cut the end off of a blanket, sew it on the other end, and claim it's longer. Spartman, I had not heard of that saying until Wednesday of this week. Someone said that to me. Huga said more heart attacks. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's the first time I've heard that saying. And I just thought it was a perfect analogy. Perfect analogy. I'm sure you have, Christine. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? And it's just like time is a social construct anyway, right? So anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it's crazy. Anyway, thanks for listening to me whine tonight. Normally, I don't have like I said, a problem with it, but fallback is the one that kills me. But man, I don't know if I'm getting old or what. So, oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Let me show you this little tidbit too, because I'm not going to kill you with all of it, but so they say that picking standard time, right? Permanent standard time versus daylight is more closely aligned with our natural sleep-wake cycle or circadian rhythm. And permanent standard time is recommended to improve sleep quality and reduce the negative impacts of daylight saving time on our internal clocks. And studies show that the transition to DST, which is daylight saving time, in the spring is associated with, and CB called it, increased cardiovascular morbidity and other health issues. They said permanent daylight saving time can pose safety concerns for morning commuters and children, as dark mornings can increase the risk of traffic fatalities. The spring transition to DST triggers missed medical appointments and more emergency department and hospital return visits. Let me just finish reading this because I'm not going to share the screen. I'm just trying to look at it. So the arguments for permanent standard time are the alignment with circadian rhythm, reduced health risks, improved safety. The arguments against it are disrupted sleep and potential health problems. Who'd have thought there would be all that stuff, right? Kids here get on the bus in the dark most of the year. Exactly. We become a little hand-holding society. I saw Christine's question. I will go back to it in just a second. Gwen says, not talking about seeds, but the longer daylight hours in the evening means more time spent in the garden. Yeah, I do enjoy that. Like if it stayed light out until 8:30, I'm totally fine with if it was standard time, if we were going to be light till 8:30, I'd be all right with that. Yeah, we used to get on the bus and off the bus in the dark all the time in the winter, in the cold and in the snow. And we'd walk 40 miles. No. It is a lot of stuff. It's crazy. Let me go back to it, Christine. You said increased ER visits. Let me see if it expands on that. Okay, so it says the spring transition to daylight savings time triggers missed medical appointments and more emergency department and hospital return visits. And they said it's also associated with increased cardiovascular morbidity and other health issues. So let's see. So the first thing that comes to mind is if you're missing an appointment, you're more likely to go to the ER in between. The other thing is you are more likely to have cardiovascular. So people are thinking they have chest pains. People are more anxious. Uphill too. You guys are awesome. Uphill both ways. Uphill too. I did in Alaska, across the tundra in the dark. Sleep well, Jennifer Ocean. Take care. Stay warm. Blue says we used to walk to school in the dark and walk home in the dark as well when we were kids. Now it's frowned upon, and kids come home an hour and a half earlier than we did. Huh. Christine says, I work in healthcare. I noticed our ER visits are higher in July and August. I wonder if that's associated with all the drinking at barbecues and the dehydration. We used to see seasonal patterns with mental health too. People get hot, maybe drinking. Yep, that's what I say, Heather. Plus people are out doing things too. They're more active, and maybe they're not as active in the wintertime. You know, because I know holidays we would see, I mean, you would see a lot of overdoses sadly all the time, and I'm not trying to normalize it, but you would see a lot more at key points like holidays and stuff like that. It was really hard. We would see more seizures during holidays because people were trying to stop drinking while they were with their family. But summertime tends to get crazy. Let me see if I can find more on the increased during standard let's see. Effects of seasonality and daylight savings time on emergency department visit. Oh, that's for mental health disorder. That makes sense. Let's see. I think the other thing too is, I think when I grew up, right now, I grew up in New York City. Hey, Ivan, good to see you. A few times this last summer, I was close to visit the ER just from heat stroke. Sure, that makes sense. Ugh. One of the things is when I grew up in New York City, okay, so there's a cultural factor, there's an urban factor, lots of factors, right? My age, my generation. Hey, Barb's Country Home, good to see you. So an ER visit was not a possibility. You were going to be there for like 15 to God knows how long hours. You could be there for days because of the sheer population, healthcare back then when I was younger. So you didn't go to the ER unless, you needed to go to the ER. Like, you didn't go to the ER for an ear infection. Excuse me. But like, you went to the ER because you were dying. Okay. That was the time you went to the ER because you were going to be there. So, but I've noticed now, and I've noticed more so in rural areas, right? The hospitals are not as busy. People tend to wait until the last minute and go to the ER, and it's not always necessarily emergent, right? It could be an ear infection that the pain got so bad, or that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Um, like, I went to the ER twice here, and it was like I needed stitches. I was bleeding pretty bad. And the other time I was having severe chest pain and was having complications due to COVID. So, and I think that's exactly why we're seeing more people go to the ER, because they tend to use it as a doctor's office, if you will. And emergency care is not the best kind of care to get, whereas you're better off going to a doctor's office, if that makes sense. But sometimes you can't because you can't afford it. So it's like this whole big thing. Let me go back to the comments. Blue said, over here when it's sunny, you watch entire households walk to the corner store and come back with everyone carrying a case of whatever and bags of more whatevers, and you won't get to sleep past 10 because the fights start. Yep, true. Gwen says, I went to the ER because it was 1 a.m. and I was having a baby. Yeah, exactly. Hey there, Joy, Smoky Mountain Blessed. Hope you and Donnie are doing well. Stay safe in the storms. Exactly. Now people go to the ER for primary or urgent care. All my hospitals are very rural. And I thank you for your rural hospitals, because they serve a huge, huge need in rural communities. I am very passionate about rural hospitals because when they close them, it's devastating for the community. So one of the reasons we live where we live is there is a hospital in town, and we're not far. Gwen said all the other hospital doors were locked. Oh, excuse me. Can't talk. I got a cough here. Yeah, so it's crazy, right? I remember when yeah, you're really close, Ivan. You're really close. That's good. It's pretty decent, it's rural hospitals are just, I mean, they took good care of me both times that I had to be in there. I had to stay overnight for the COVID issues, when I had the pulmonary embolism and the deep vein thrombosis. I only go to the ER if I think I'm dying, and even then I would roll the dice at home. Yeah, trust me, I would rather roll the dice at home. Yeah, I had trouble breathing, and the other one is I wouldn't stop bleeding. So that's my thing. The last time Barb went to the ER, they kept her for 2 months and attached these gadgets on her throat and stomach. Yeah, you were in there for a while. Our hospital emergency, this is Blue, over in the UK, is so overloaded constantly that there is now a doctor treating people in ambulances parked in the car park, says there's no room indoors. Yeah. So in New York City, when I was younger, that was exactly the situation. You would be in the hallways in a gurney. It's crazy. They are rock stars. They do so much with so little. They really do. Yeah, I agree with you, Christine, because I couldn't breathe the second time. Our nearest hospital is an hour away. Yep. Yep. That's a really great point, Ivan. I myself getting more and more different certs for medical and whatever needed for survival and assisting others. You never know. That is absolutely brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. What a great idea. Yep. You never know. You never know. I mean, I've always had to have the basic first aid and stuff, and I have taken some other things because I had to do it for work, but great point. Does anybody else have like certs for some of that stuff? I'm curious. Yep, Blue said the same. Brilliant. Heather, do you have like an urgent care that is closer to you that like sometimes they have urgent cares that are open a pretty decent hours? Because I know what we have is we have a doctor's offices at the hospital. We have the urgent clinic at the hospital. So you don't have to go to the ER. You can go to the urgent care clinic and pretty much see the same doctors, or you can go to the ER. So we can, Rudy. Um, like Blue, I know that your whole healthcare system is a struggle and a different from us. Um, but do you have urgent care over there versus just ER? FEMA has some free classes online for things like emergency management that can help making decisions in a chaos. Ironically, I'm pretty calm in chaos. I've always worked in mental health. And all of my supervisors used to tell me that I was ironically have a blessed weekend, Christine, and stay safe and praying for you guys in Oklahoma. Like I said, I've always worked in mental health and addiction services, and I was always at my most comfortable in crisis. Heather said no to the urgent care. In response to your lifestyle, I'm not a fan of the time change. I like more light in the day and think they should change the time kids go to school. That's another option too. Yeah, we had talked a bunch about that stuff in the beginning, Joy. We talked about the pros and cons and the all that stuff, and which one we would pick, whether it would be standard or daylight and the benefits of both. We have a small clinic, but they only do bandage stuff. I mean, so many kids now are driven to school. They don't even ride the bus anymore, a lot of them. I mean, there's still kids who ride buses, obviously, but it's like, I just think sometimes we've become a little soft as a society. And, we all went to school and we, survived. Have a safe weekend, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Holman's Homestead, thanks for being here. We have a small clinic, but they only do bandage talk. Oh, I wanted to go back up to Blue, but Heather said Life Flight is used a lot in our county. Here too. They take them to Rapid. Blue said takes 9 weeks to get in to see the doctor, and then we have out of hours doctor centers, but they are at the hospital and take longer to get into than the emergency itself. Oh my word. Oh my word. Crazy. Scotty says my state has the 4th and 5th best hospital in the country. That's awesome. Do you mind sharing what hospital or what state you're in? If you don't want to, I totally get that. Exactly, Ivan. Yep, that's exactly what. Yep. Ability to go through without any hesitation. Then I have 4 to 5 hours of mental unload, and after that, I'm back to 100. Yep, I can compartmentalize some of that stuff and unload to decompress. Yeah, it's a hard call. I mean, we all have our different opinions on the time change, right? And where it should be and where we'd like it to go. And like I said, normally I am fine with the springtime, but man, it's kicked my butt this time. And it takes a toll on everybody, right? So the thing I always laugh about is like we have the time change for daylight savings, and Diesel's looking for food, and the pigs are looking for food, and it's totally weird. Um, oh yeah, Mass General and Brigham and yep, Brigham and Women's and Mass, absolutely. We used to live in Connecticut, so I'm quite familiar with them. Awesome, awesome. No, Rudy, I'm not going to. Um, Ariella says, I tend to wake up earlier in the months that have earlier sunrises. It's a pity that society can't align more with seasonal cycles instead of following the clock. I agree. I agree. I did speak the name of the boss, Spartman. He's out cold on the couch. He's gonna be 11 this year. I think it's 11, and the medication's still helping him, but he's getting white in the face, slowing down a little. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the situation is, right? If we do this time change thing. So he's a good boy. Anywho, so time change wise, that's all I got, folks. What are you guys doing this weekend? What are you guys up to? We are going to a natural library thing where you do take natural stuff in nature and make cordage. It's a class that teaches you how to make cordage. So I'm looking forward to it. Sparkman said, just keep it at standard or center noon with solar noon and call it good. Speak of the diesel, Ariella, that's funny. Trying not to get snowed in, then try to figure out what to do afterwards. Yeah. I am not, Ivan. I am not. I've heard of them recently, but I have not. My friend from Australia is now living with us until she gets on her feet. So, really getting out and about, getting shopping done, and sorting out the house a bit. Oh, that sounds good. I'm glad you could help somebody. It's always good to help somebody. And sorting out the house is always good stuff. We've got the cordage class at the library from 10 to 12, and then we're going to, I don't know what else. We'll see. We will see. We've got some peppers coming up too in the snail rolls. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing exciting. We keep watching and monitoring the pigs for some action, some piglet making action. So hoping for that soon. We did have a bit of a crazy event happen last week. It's chaos with the boar in there. And Grant knocked Fiona out of the way, knocked her on her back with her legs up in the air, and she choked. She was choking. Got her up on her feet, and thankfully she resolved it, but it was a very long few minutes, I will tell you that. So it was kind of hard to, but thankfully that's resolved. And then I've been adding more water to their feed, which keeps them at the bowls. It's just Grant just goes from bowl to bowl to bowl. So it's just kind of brutal, but it's only temporary. So we're just trying to keep everybody safe. But it was a little scary there for a moment. We've never had that all the times that we've put them together. It's just that she went to back up, had a mouthful of food. He pushed her out of the way. She lost her footing, and on her back she went. So that was not a good combination. But how about the rest of you? What are you doing this weekend? I did wanted to go back to what Ivan was saying about AmCon. We do our own part of prepping and stuff like that, and a lot of it is really based on the fact that we want to have things on hand because number one, it's real expensive to shop locally, as you know, and then it just makes life easier when you don't have to go to Rapid all the time. I did work away in East Tennessee. My favorite thing to do on the homestead was to wrestle the rams. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't want to wrestle a boar. Not me, thanks. It's wild. But I do hope all you guys in the path of this storm and stay safe, and whether it's Spartman in South Dakota all the way across the United States, because there's a lot of people affected by this huge storm, and then the Oklahoma wildfires are just insane. Ariella said I had friends tell me they needed to replace boars when they got too big for the sows. Do you ever see that happening with your coonies? No, I do not. Not at this point. I've not heard of anyone else with coonies having to do that. Doesn't mean it can't happen. I could see having to change boars if we were trying to produce more often. And we needed more genetic variability. If anything, I think we would have to replace sows. So, but it depends on how long we do this. You know, at some point we may decide to do AI. AI is not something that's common with coonies, but we will see. Yeah, I could see it being more of a problem with the big boars like the Duroc, the commercial breeds, because I mean they can be what, like 1,000 pounds, some of them. I've also seen some sows that are that huge. Um, but yeah, they're, we're a little different. We're small, we're doing it for ourselves, and so we'll see how it goes. I would like to see Fiona get bred this year though. And if she doesn't, I might have to make some decisions. So we will see. Although moving her on isn't such a big deal because she is a registered girl. But I have to find out what's going on. It's a lot of bacon seed. Yes, it is. Speaking of wrestling critters, I got to get Chevy on the milk stand tomorrow and do her hooves. That little bottle baby goat grew up and now she has fat rolls on her neck. I might need help. Sweet girl. Sweet girl. Yeah, we've got to get the crate done for the forklift so we can do hooves, because we need to do hooves and we need to do tusks. So we've just had other things going on right now that we haven't been able to get to it, but we've got to get to that. We tried to turn the girls over and they're huge. Huge. I mean, I say huge, but I'm saying huge for us to flip. So they got to be 300 pounds or 250. And you're looking at two old people. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get going. I'm going to go eat my dinner. I haven't eaten yet. I was still full from lunch, but I thank you all for coming and thanks for talking about the time change with me. No, it's not. It's not fun. And the pigs, you got to flip them over. So just say no to goats. I've had to say no to goats, but you too, Ivan. I hope all of you have an absolutely amazing weekend. Stay safe, stay warm. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next week. Take care, guys. Bye.